What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and today I am back with another PFL preview as PFL 5 2024 regular season goes down on June 21st in the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States of America. And it is the lightweights and light heavyweights that are fighting this week. And it's very, very interesting because these are two of the strongest divisions the PFL has. And I think if you look at lightweight, not only this year, but next year, we're going to have an absolute bonanza. And a lot of these guys are probably fighting for their lives. Let's be honest here. A lot of these guys probably won't be in this next year. So how do you get in it? You win it. How do you get in it? You put on great fights. How do you get in it? You get to the final, or you take out someone who maybe you weren't thinking about taking out. Because we've seen, look, Paul Hughes has been signed and promised to place next year. Now Mark Casey has been signed, promised to place next year. Those are both lightweights, you know. Will AJ McKee be in it next year? Will Patricio be in it? There's so much to think about and talk about for next year. And you know those guys are thinking about it and talking about it. And there's only one thing, that they have a great opportunity, go out and do it. And, we talk about PFL so much, and we talk about how it is a real good meritocracy. And I know there's issues and some people have problems with it now, but at the end of the day, you're Clay Collard or Mads Burnell here. You might be worried about not being in the tournament next year, in the season next year, but if you go and win it, you almost certainly will be. So massive opportunity for all of the lightweights and the light heavyweights as well. Could Johnny Eblin be in it next year? What's going to happen with Bellator? Like, are they going to continue to run Bellator the same way? Will more people come over? Will there be a kind of a back and forth? It's all up in the air very much, I still think. And for the fighters, I'm sure they want to put themselves in the best position they possibly can. Before we get into breaking down this card and breaking down the fights, let's just have a quick run through the standings. We'll talk about the last matchups and the future matchups and all of that after that then. So at light heavyweight, we have, it's very, very interesting. We have 5 people on 6 points. And 5 people on 0 points. So you can guess what happened in the first lashings of fights. Lashings, that's a great word. I'm going to use that more. So at 1-0 on 6 points is Wilkinson, Silveira, Yagshimuradov, Impa Kasanganay, and Antonio Carlos Jr. And then at 0-1 on 0 points, it's Biyong, Alex Polizzi, Jakob, Nedoh, Sadabusi, and Tom Breeze. And like just reading through those names here, this is a very strong season. Really, really, really strong season. Like all of the guys on 0-1 are all good fighters. All good fighters. There's no bad fighter in this whatsoever. So really, really good there for the light heavyweights. And in the lightweights, you could argue is even better in terms of quality. We have a bit of differential here. We have 3 guys on 5 points and 1-0. So that's Michael Dufort, who had a fantastic opening. Then we had Clay Collard and Brent Primus as well. And then we have Elvis Espinoza on 4 points, 1-0, and on 3 points, 1-0 is Gadzi Rabzabov. Then on 0-1 and 0 points, we have Solomon Renfro, Adam Piccolati, Bruno Miranda, Patricky Pitbull, and the aforementioned Mads Burnell. So a massive fight. Say for the likes of Mads Burnell, the likes of Patricky, even the likes of Gadzi Rabzabov, who's still 1-0, but on 3 points, someone goes in there, gets a first round, second round knockout. His position is very much in peril there. So a massive week for everyone. When you're only on 4 points and 5 points as well, you can quickly get passed out. Look what happened in the light heavyweights in the first week. That happens again with a few people. Could be gone. And he's top of the league as we look at it right now. So massive, massive, massive week ahead. And let's get straight into it. Let's not stand on ceremony anymore here. And I'm going to start with the main event of Mads Burnell and Clay Collard. Very interesting fight and a very interesting choice of main event as well. And you know what? I really like it. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, it wasn't that I criticised the PFL, but I didn't like having Savannah Marshall as main event. I was like, there's better fighters and better fights in this card that deserve more respect. And I feel like this is one of those cards that maybe you could have put someone with, maybe a bigger name, even like a Brent Primus maybe, or Who else would there be? Rob Wilkinson maybe at the top of the card. And they're actually both in good fights as well, so I wouldn't have minded that, to be honest. But I think this is the best fight. I think this is the funnest fight, the potential for insanity more than all the rest of them. And to me, on a card like this, now sometimes, if it's a John Jones fight, you have to put the name on top of it, and they could be in good fights as well, you know what I mean? But this one, names, but quality, I think this is by far the right main event, and kudos to PFL for putting it there. So let's look at both guys individually here for a second, and then we'll throw them together. So Clay Collard, 25, 12 and 1 no contest, 31 years of age, with 15 of those fights inside the distance, 17 decisions in his career, which is an odd thing I always look at with Clay Collard. He doesn't seem like a decision fighter, but even when he goes to a lot of decisions, they're fun a lot of the time. This is obviously his second fight of this year. He beat Patricky with a second round knockout in the first in his first outing in a very fun fight. He had lost to AJ McKee in the PFL versus Bellator card before that, so he's had a busy start to the year. We're only 6 months into his career, into the year, and this is his third fight already. Lost to Aubin Mercier last year, put up a very good fight after a great year where he beat Burgos Ray and Nishikawa in an absolutely fantastic season. The same thing happened to him, I suppose, the year before that. He ended up losing to he lost Alex Martinez in the regular season, and he beat Jeremy Stevens. He got to the playoffs before that, lost to Hauschman Feo, but he's beaten the likes of Anthony Pettis and others as well. He's what a run Clay Collard has had over the last while. I spoke to him a few weeks ago on a very dodgy internet stream, but I like the way he speaks and that, he knows what he is. He knows the type of fighter he is. He knows that, right? He been boxing for a while, but he knows he's very much an MMA fighter and needs to use his MMA to win these sorts of fights. And he uses his jab and he's striking very well, but it has to be an all-round win, and especially against a guy like Mads Burnell, who is an absolute dynamo on the ground. He's 18 wins, 9 wins by submission, 18 and 6 overall, and even you look at those 6, he's got 8 wins by decision, but and 2 losses by decision, but 4 of those losses have been inside the distance as well. So Mads Burnell is another guy, who goes out there and he does put it on the line as well. And again, when his fights do go to decision, they're fun. I spoke to him around this time last year, maybe over in Dublin, and I kind of said to him, I like to rile up the jiu-jitsu guys somewhere. I was like, does jiu-jitsu work in MMA anymore? And he's like, no, because they're not doing it the right way. They're not going for enough stuff. They're not taking enough chances. And he is a guy who will do that, will go for chances. You saw it against Dufort, I think, where he ended up getting submitted, and he's been submitted a few times in his career. For a BJJ black belt as good as him, you would think he wouldn't be getting submitted, but he does, And okay, one was Arnold Allen, and the other was Michel Prazeres, who is probably a little bit undersized against in the UFC, so he's not losing the mugs here or anything like that. But he does go for it, and that shows, I suppose. He had a lot of decisions in his career before that, and I think he kind of spoke about that as well, that he maybe doesn't want to do that anymore, and wants to. After, what was it, 6 in a row, was it? Yeah, 5 in a row decisions, that he wants to kind of change up a little bit. And I think, I'm not sure this is the fight where that happens, to be honest, because I think it could be 15 minutes of absolute back and forth mayhem. I think Collard will be very smart in the way he fights Burnell. And when I say smart, a lot of time you say that and maybe people will think, he's going to be, defensive, or he's going to be, fighting off the back foot. I don't mean that at all. Now, he'll be defensive in that he'll be smart. He won't allow himself to get punched in the face for nothing. But I think he's going to actually, come forward is the wrong word, but I think he's going to meet Burnell, in the middle. He's going to land those jabs. He's going to stop Burnell at source. He's going to throw the 1-2s down the middle, land that right hand, be that longer fighter where he, where he uses the kind of, he uses an openness to draw people in and hit him. And I think against Burnell, that's a really good way to fight, especially if Burnell is trying to be more of an attacking fighter. Because we saw, and what was the fight? It was the Barrocks fight that went 25 minutes, a really long fight, where they were kind of both standing there looking at each other for long periods of time. And that can happen sometime with Burnell fights. There's no doubt about it. Now, as I said, he's becoming, and I think trying to become, a more entertaining fighter. But, and we did see it in the last fight, but that could be it could be all talk to. You never know. So there is the possibility that he tries to stay on the outside, but I don't know is that doable against Clay Collard? And all we have to do, and I said I'd look at their last fights. All we have to do is look at that last fight against Patricky Freire. Patricky and Patricio both love to fight. You know, I would call it a little bit of a more defensive style, but there's nothing wrong with that either. But there's like, you know, come in, we'll counter you, and like if we don't feel it's open, we'll take a step back, take a step left, take a step right, or whatever it might be. Get out of that situation and reestablish ourselves, or we'll, you know, hit you with the counter. Clay Collard just didn't allow Patricky to do that to him. He took charge of the fight, and to do that to someone like Patricky, and I know, okay, Patricky maybe not as young as he once was, or you know, probably maybe a couple of years past his title level best, but still not easy at all to do it to him. I think a similar starting, very different fighters, Patricky and Mads Burnell, don't get me wrong, but that similar standoffishness that you see from both guys can possibly be broken down in the same way by a Clay Collard. If you were to ask me who I thought would win this fight a few years ago, I would have said no doubt about it, Mads Burnell. There wouldn't have been a second thought in my mind about the pick here, but I actually think I'm going the other way around here. I think I'm going to go for Clay Collard to win this. Now, I believe the betting odds aren't out yet. I'll just have another look here, but I don't believe they are out yet. But I'd be interested to see. I would guess that Mads Burnell will be the favourite, although there's been this real sway recently to more, you know, the recent fights, meaning more than the overall career, and I think that's kind of funny. You know, the odds aren't out for this yet. I think that's kind of funny, but for normal fights, but in this one, I'm gonna agree with it, and I'm gonna go with Collard to win that one. So yeah, that's my breakdown in the main event. Look, if Burnell can get the fight to the ground and take him down and get on top, he can absolutely submit him. Look, Clay Collard's not an easy out by any means. He has been submitted 4 times, but when you fight, you know, over 30, coming up on 40 times, it's going to happen. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Clay Collard to win that fight. The co-main event then is such a great fight. Impa Kasanganay against Jakob Nedoh, whose name I always pronounce wrong, and I seem to be pronouncing a lot of names wrong recently. I actually think it's Nedoh. Is it Nedoh? We'll go with Jakob. He was the winner of the European season last year. Came in here and he got destroyed really by Yagshimuradov. It's amazing. I can say Yagshimuradov all right, but I can say Kasanganay. But a very, very interesting matchmaking here. And I spoke to Impa as well, and I believe, I might be mistaken, but I believe he did say he kind of wanted this fight, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a very, very interesting fight. Having said that, you know, Impa beat Alex Polizzi last time out, and he lost to Johnny Eblin before that. So look, it's 2 guys with a loss in their last 2 fights fighting each other. There's not necessarily bad matchmaking or anything like that, but again, if you're a guy who's just lost his first fight, you're going to have to, you know, I understand the theory of like one guy lost, one guy won. Whoever wins this will maybe go forward, or you know, if Kasanganay was the winner, being the guy who, let me just check here again, he's on 6 points, isn't he, as they all are, yeah. Indeed he is. If he wins this, he goes on to, you know, 12 points or 10 points, whatever it might be. But if Jakob was to win it, you know, he could go on to 6 points and go to the head-to-head or whatever it might be, or the timing. And it changes things around an awful lot. So, I do get that. Would I do it the same way? Would a lot of people do it the same way? You know, probably not. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to this fight. Like Ndai, very aggressive fighter. Head down and throws, rushes you into the clinch, big knees inside, big takedowns, very aggressive on the floor, but a very good jab as well. But sometimes he gets over-eager. I thought there was a little bit of that in the last fight as well, and we've seen it throughout the European run. And he can't do that here against Impa, I don't think. One big difference in this fight is the size. Impa is, I think he's 6 foot, but I think that's leaning a little bit kind to him maybe, whereas Ndai is 6'4", and that might be a little bit unfair. And he's a big man, big man. And I think the way he wins this fight is use that size. You know, I said there that when he takes his time, he's very good with his striking, but the opposite of that then is rushing. And when he rushes, he gets big issues. I think if he takes his time in this fight and pushes Kasanganay against the cage or uses his jab well and just don't get over eager here. We've seen with Impa in the past, and I actually think he's changed, but we'll get to that in a second. I watched back the fight. I have it here. Hold on, let me tell you. It was Carlton Harris, who is not a good fighter. And Carlton Harris beat him. But how did Carlton Harris beat him? He kind of waited, and then bang, big shot. You know, that's the kind of way you get Impa at times. As I said, I think he has changed. And like no one, you know, in his last how many fights? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights has done that to him. He lost to Johnny Evelyn, very close split decision. He's 8-1 in his last 9. I think it's maybe a part of his game that he's been closed up. And you see now, like, what does he do? Very good striker, very well-rounded fighter. Can really do it all. And, you know, I've picked against Impa a couple of times, and I've had people come at me here in the comment section go, what are you doing picking against Impa? Like, you don't realize the changes he's made in his career. And you know what? Those people are absolutely right. And now I do realize the changes he's made in his career. You know, he's studying at Harvard as well, and his life has changed around as well. If you're tasked me coming in here, I would have picked Jakob and I to cause big problems. I think he losing that open fight to Yagshimuradov was a big blow. And when you do that and you get a tough match like Kasanganay, it's again too much too soon, I think, for him. If he was back next year, I would again, you know, if he can build on this, I would back him. I think he is going to be a very good fighter in the future. The problem again with Indai is that, you know, at 27 years of age, is he going to be able to build that when he's kind of put into it a bit early? Like we talked about, what's his name? Kasuba, who won it and didn't get the opportunity. And you know what? Maybe that's a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Now, you know, the money isn't the same, but I think for Indai, that little bit of experience might have done him a little bit better than getting here. But yeah, I think Kasanganay will win this one, and I think it'll probably be 3 rounds of Kasanganay kind of picking him off a little bit and maybe winning the decision. Then we've Patricky Freire again here against Bruno Miranda. And again, talking about Patricky and the style, you know, that kind of the wait for the big shot style on the outside it's going to be interesting against Bruno Miranda. You know, a guy who knocks people out. He's lost his last 2 in a row, but what a great season he had last year. Lost obviously the finale at the OAM, but beat Alex Martinez and Amir Amir before that. And it wasn't the final, actually, it was the playoff, sorry. You know, he is a guy that he hasn't got one of those big knockouts since 2022 in the PFL. And that was his first PFL fight in the Challenger Series. And when he kind of got to the higher level, I think he's done pretty well. At times, you know, beating Alex Martinez, I think, and that was a very, very close decision. But I just wonder how he will fare against someone like Patricky. Like, will he be able to live up to that, or deal with that kind of tricky defensive nature that I talked about earlier? Not, you know, defensive is, it might seem like it's a negative word, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually very smart. Now, the other side of it then, is Patricky the same as he once was? I mentioned it earlier. I don't think he necessarily is. He's lost his last 2 in a row now to Shibley and Collard. Like, Miranda isn't, I don't think he's at that level yet, but can he get there? Like, he's 33 years of age now. Would he have gotten there already if he was going to get there? Who knows? But that Martinez win is a very, very good win. Again, a split decision, very close one. I know a lot of people didn't agree with it, but I think if you can come close to beating Alex Martinez, can you come close to beating Patricky Freire? That's MMA maths there now, but I think the way Martinez fights is a lot more of like a karate-based way than the Patricky's boxing-based way. But if you can kind of break it down, you can break down Patricky's maybe. I don't know. I'll probably lean Miranda because I think he's maybe the younger, faster guy and can get to Patricky maybe better than Patricky can get to him. And I think he'll probably win a decision based on that. if I'm forced to take my picks, I actually think like this could be a good tactical matchup. And do you know what I think could happen here now? And one big thing could happen, like a big takedown. Let's say for Patricky, could change this whole fight, and then he goes for another one. I could see something like that happen. We've seen that with the Pitbull brothers before. Now, obviously, Miranda is good on the ground as well. Not the best. He's been submitted more times than he's won by submission. So maybe that's a way forward for Patricky in that fight as well. But I'm going to pick Miranda to win that one. Then we've Rob Wilkinson against Joshua Silveira. Very, very interesting fight. Obviously, this one has a little bit of different matchmaking with both of them on 6 points and both of them after winning. Obviously, Wilkinson is up at light heavyweight now after winning it at middleweight. Oh my God, no, what was he? I don't know. He was at middleweight. Yeah, at one stage he won in 2022 against Amaria Akhmadov, beat Tom Breeze. Tom Breeze didn't really show up for that fight and destroyed him in a minute and 10. And Silveira had Sadabusi, and that was the finger injury, if you remember that one. So both had very short fights the first time out. I think this is a very tough fight for Joshua Silveira. What's Silveira good? He's a very good wrestler, very good on the ground. Again, very good kimuras and things like that. Whereas Rob Wilkinson is a very good striker, hits hard, good takedown defense. Can take you down if he needs to be as well, but I don't think he'll be doing that here. I honestly think this is an easy enough one to call, I think. And I've great time for Silveira. I actually think he'll continue to improve, but I think Wilkinson is just going to beat him up on the feet. I think he's going to be way too good on the feet. 31 years of age as well. Like, I know, there's still a lot of improving in Silveira, but at 32 years of age, for Wilkinson, like, is he going to improve to that level to be able to compete with someone like Wilkinson? I just don't think so. And Wilkinson's no mug on the ground as well. He's 7 wins by submission, 10 by knockout. Only one decision in his career. Never lost a decision either. So, never been submitted. I think this fight is Wilkinson's to win. I think Silveira will need to have a big takedown and get on top of him and submit him here to win this. Maybe late in the fight, but I don't see it happening. I think this is going to be a clinic of striking for Rob Wilkinson. The next light heavyweight fight in is Yagshimuradov against Simon Biyong. Again, poor Simon Biyong is getting tough enough matchmaking here. 9-4 in his career now after losing to Antonio Carlos Jr. last time out. And he's in with Yagshimuradov, who beat Jakob and I last time out. And what a run he's on. He beat Magic Rosansky at Bellator 300 before that. Magic Rosansky's one of those guys that people don't know how good he is, but he's a very good fighter. Beating Glixkis and Rafael Carvalho before that. He had lost to Corey Anderson, Al Brexton, and Corey Anderson was in that. He was in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken, and he got wrestled in that. And I've been looking at people to wrestle him before that because he's a very, very good striker. 13 knockouts in his career. And I don't think Biyong is the guy to wrestle him. He's going to go out and strike with him as well. But for Biyong, I think that might, Biyong doesn't want a guy who's going to go in and wrestle him. And I don't think Yagshimuradov is going to go in and wrestle him. I think Yagshimuradov is going to fight with him on the feet. Now he might do a bit of it, right? And I think sometimes actually as well, you look at a guy like Yagshimuradov, and you look at the way he lost Anderson, you think, oh, that guy can't wrestle. But his offensive wrestling is way better than his defensive wrestling. If he meets another wrestler, he's going to struggle. But if he fights against a striker like Biyong, then his wrestling can come out. And I do think we will see a bit of it, but I do think we'll see a lot of striking as well. And that opens this for Simon Biyong. Like, Simon Biyong's no mug whatsoever. I believe he's training in UFD gym now, which is one of the best gyms in the world. Make no mistake about that. And he's some very good wins. Like he beat Luke Traynor back at Bellator 281, who's probably one of the top 4 or 5 light heavyweight prospects in the world. So that was a really good win. And if he can replicate that, he can win this fight. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, Yagshimuradov is going to be the pick for me. I just think a little bit too soon for Biyong again. Fun fight in Antonio Carlos Jr. against Alex Polizzi. Again, you'd have to favour Antonio Carlos Jr. In this one. He's been, 16-5, 12 submissions, been unstoppable since he's come to the PFL. Beat Biyong, Bruce Soto, Dylan Monte, Martin Hamlet, Emiliano Sardi. Had that no contest against Vinny Magalesh, and then beat Tom Lawler in Filthy Tom in his debut there after losing a few fights in the UFC before getting out. So he's literally been unbeatable. And it's going to be very difficult for Polizzi, I think, to beat him as well. He's lost 3 in a row now to Kasanganay, Moore and Romero. Been knocked out in a couple of them. You look at the record with submissions, never been submitted in his career. 4 submission wins for him. For looking at the bets of the week, that might be a good one. Antonio Carlos Jr. to get the submission. I think that could be a good one. But you never know, like, records are made to be stopped. 34 years of age now, getting on a tiny bit. Polizzi's not exactly a spring chicken himself at 32 in terms of, 14 fights into his career. I don't know, is his game changing much, but you'd fancy Antonio Carlos Jr. in that one. Brent Primus is one of the underdog picks for me in this lightweight division. He came in there 39 years of age against Bruno Miranda last time out, and I just thought to myself, this snaky old fella, his style is so well suited to the season format, I think, because he gets submissions, he gets finishes, he can fight a safer type of style at times as well. Now coming in against Solomon Renfro, 11-5, I was very impressed with him, honestly, going into the Magomed Karamov fight, and even I watched him before that for the Jalal Al-Shawawi fight. Big power. He's fought some good guys as well, the likes of Johnny Parsons, Adam Fugit, who are both in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, Mike Malott as well. Lost all of them, but he's lost all of the big fights in his career, I suppose, apart from Al-Shalawi and fight. But all the guys he has lost, Malott, Parsons, Fugit, Magomed Karamov and Rabzabov, all very, very, very good fighters, and never lost to a fighter who's just below that. Now, which side do you put Primus into? If this fight is standing up, I think Renfro has good power. He's only 4 knockouts, as I said, out of his 11 fights, but he's been match tough and he's been in there with good guys. I think he could cause trouble on the feet to Primus. He's only been knocked out once in his career, Brent. Don't get me wrong here now. I don't think it's going to be easy or anything, but I just think Primus, once it gets to the ground, he'd be a little bit sneaky. Renfro has been submitted in his career. It was a while back now, don't get me wrong, against Mike Malott in 2020, but you could see that happening here again. I don't know, I'd be interested to see the odds here. I think if Renfro is a big underdog, if you plus 300 or something like that, I think I'd probably go for him. I'll be honest here. Primus is, he can be hit and miss, but again, I think this suits him. But we'll see on that one. I'm going to go with Primus as my pick, but we'll see when the odds come out. A lot of fights on this card. We're 13 fights in. Let's run through the last few here. Sadabousi and Tom Breeze. It's funny, this one is at light heavyweight, but 2 former welterweights. I think Tom Breeze. He fought Carl Pinter at welterweight, I believe. Or was it middleweight? I think it was welterweight. But similarly sized guys here, I think. 6'3" versus 6'3". Sheehan obviously broke the finger in the last fight after losing to Magomed Karamov in the finale last year. But what a run he was on before that, being the champion 2023. Miranda, Mitchell, El-Shalawi, Danilo Taylor, Rory McDonald, Al Shakin, beaten along the way. And Tom Breeze, the other side of it then, look, he's been on a good run over the last couple of years since his time in the UFC ended. He won 6 of his 7 fights coming in here, but then against Rob Wilkinson, it was the old Tom Breeze again. I feel like I just don't think he was, how would I want to put this? I don't think he fought to the fullness of his ability. Let's put it that way. And if he does fight to the fullness of his ability, he can beat any of these guys, including Sadabousi. I just think that Sadabou's going to kind of hold off a little bit, wait for Breeze to come at him and counter him. And once he lands a shot and starts to go forward, which he has been doing more, say, in the 2023 season. Obviously, we've only seen him for a few seconds in 2024. I think he could finish Breeze. And I think that's kind of the prediction. Not necessarily as quickly as the Raw Wilkinson one. C is more of a longer term fighter. But yeah, I'm picking C. I think he'd probably be enough favourite, but I just don't have a load of faith in Tom Breeze to produce it like that anymore, unfortunately. Gazi Rabzabov against Elvin Espinoza then. Espinoza is an interesting one because At 10-0, again, there's sometimes these lads don't know how to lose. Beat Piccolotti the first time in. I believe I picked Piccolotti coming into that. I wasn't expecting him to win this fight, and he's had a lot of reps in the PFL now. Has Espinosa. This is his. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights now in the PFL, with a few in the Challenger Series and things like that. And this is his first real good run at it, though, I suppose. And if he wins this fight, it's going to be massive. Now, Rabzabov is one of those guys that's been around for a very, very long time in Bellator, and, you know, obviously fought in Risen and EFC, and, you know, he's been around the block, and he's a good, solid fighter with, you know, a lot of fights, and he's coming up on, over 25 fights. You know, 11 finishes, a lot of decisions as well in there. You know, you look at his last few wins, and he's been on a great run, like Renfro, Bobby King, JJ Wilson. And you know, all of those ones I just mentioned, all decisions. He's won 5 decisions in a row. I think if you're Espinosa and you're coming in there against a guy like that, and you're a finisher, you know, 80% of his fights have been finished, I think you're gonna have to be really something special, I think, to beat a guy like Rabzabov. You're gonna have to be something really, really, really special. And is he that really special guy who's gonna do it? I really like him, but I'm not convinced. Like, you can even, like, you look at guys like Magomed Karimov as well, and others, and you think there's good fighters coming in there facing them, but, like, are they going to be just good enough? And I'm going to pick Rabzabov because I just don't know if he can get over that line. The opposite then, I think, is the case for the next one, Duford against Piccolotti. Like, if you were to ask me at the start of the year who I'd be picking in this fight, I would have definitely said Piccolotti. But the way Duford, he's from French Canada. I don't know where he's from. Let me look at it there. Quebec. Saint-Jean-sur-Vicquelou he's from. Just was too good, and that fight ended up submitting him in the end. Whereas Piccolotti, 35 years of age, and sometimes you forget that Piccolotti seems a lot younger than that. You know, he's lost 3 of his last 6. You know, great win over Rat Garbage and a great win over Carcanyon, but, you know, losing Sydney Outlaw, Burnell, and Espinosa now is a little bit worrying for where he is in his career in terms of the high level. And you know, Dufort was very good the last time out, and you'd have to pick him coming into this one. The rest in obviously non-title or non-tournament season fights. Anthony Romero against Sergio Cossi. An interesting one. We've obviously seen Anthony Romero around before. This is his 3rd fight in the PFL. Lost over Mercier last time out. He's, you know, fought in the Dana White Contender Series. A guy with you know, a lot of fights, but maybe not the finisher that some people need to be to get to those positions. Cossi, on the other side of it, is very much a finisher. 15 finishes in his career. He's also been finished 8 times in his career, which maybe tells a little bit of a story. But he's finding out I think he's training Extreme Couture now. He's won a load of fights in a row. I think up to 8 fights in a row now, fighting in Lux Championships, and fought Jesse Roberts last time out in Bellator. So he's had a real change, you know, in his career, I suppose, after losing a lot of his fights, and all, you know, most of his losses. 6 of his losses came in the first 8 fights of his career back in 2015. So this is a very different fighter from that, and very interesting to see what he can do, and maybe, you know, stake his claim for future matchups. Andrew Sanchez against Carl Brexton as well. That's a good, interesting fight at light heavyweight. Andrew Sanchez, again, 36 years of age, 14-7, with 8 finishes in there. Has been in the PFL, been in the UFC for a very, very long time. You know, beat Khalil Roundtree, beat Barrio, beat, you know, Taylor Johnson last time out. He was over in the EFC as well, and it'd be interesting. You know, these lads are fighting their way for a chance. Carl Brexton again. You know, if you look at some of the names that this guy is beating, he's beaten Viktor Nimkov. He's been in there with Phil Davis, been in there with Yuri Brachka, been in there with Valentin Moldavsky, beaten Vadim Nimkov. You know, so This guy is legit as well. Won his last fight in a smaller promotion and is looking to get back, I suppose, to the big time here, and it's a massive opportunity for him. And then we have two younger fighters in Brian Zorscher and Julian Ruiz. Zorscher's 8-0 with 6 finishes in there. He's fought in that Lux promotion as well, and fought 4 or 5 times as well in the PFL and in the Challenger Series, with a very, very good record. And his opponent then, Ruiz, as I said, 4-0. He fought in that fierce FC promotion and got all but 1 finish in his 4 fights there. So looking forward to seeing that and seeing how it goes. So that is it. That is the rundown on the PFL 5 2024 regular season card, and it's looking like a really good one. Let's be honest. Collard, Burnell, Kasanganay back, Patricky on the card, Wilkinson, Silveira, Biyong, Yagshimuradov. Some really, really, really good fights there to whet the appetite on June 21st. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, Sherdog.com even, and I'll see you all next time.